lighter than air. Beginning of modern theories. In 1670, Francisco Lana di Terzi published a work that suggested lighter than air flight would be possible by using copper foil spheres that, containing a vacuum, would be lighter than the displaced air to lift an airship. While theoretically sound, his design was not feasible. The pressure of the surrounding air would crush the spheres. The idea of using vacuum to produce lift is now known as vacuum airship, but remains unfeasible with any current materials. In 1709, Bartolome de Gusmão presented a petition to King John V of Portugal, begging for support for his invention of an airship, in which he expressed the greatest confidence. The public test of the machine, which was set for June 24, 1709, did not take place. According to contemporary reports, however, Gusmão appears to have made several less ambitious experiments with this machine, descending from eminences. It is certain that Gusmão was working on this principle at the public exhibition he gave before the court on August 8, 1709, in the hall of the Casa de India in Lisbon, which he propelled a ball to the roof by combustion. Balloons. 1783 was a watershed year for ballooning and aviation. Between June 4th and December 1, 5 aviation firsts were achieved in France. On 4th June, the Montgolfier brothers demonstrated their unmanned hot air balloon at Annonay, France. On 27 August, Jacques Charles and the Robert brothers, Les Frères Robert, launched the world's first unmanned hydrogen-filled balloon from the Champ de Mars, Paris. On 19 October, the Montgolfiers launched the first manned flight, a tethered balloon with humans on board, at the Folie Titan in Paris. The aviators were the scientist Jean-Francois Pilatre de Rosier, the manufacturer manager Jean-Baptiste Revillon, and Giraud de Villette. On 21 November, the Montgolfiers launched the first free flight with human passengers. King Louis XVI had originally decreed that condemned criminals would be the first pilots. But Jean-Francois Pilatre de Rosier, along with the Marquis Francois de Arlandes, successfully petitioned for the honor. They drifted 8 km, 5 miles in a balloon powered by a wood fire. On 1st December, Jacques Charles and the Nicolas Louis Robert launched their manned hydrogen balloon from the Jardin des Tuileries in Paris. As a crowd of 4 lakh witnessed, they ascended to a height of about 1,800 feet, 550 meters, and landed at the sunset in Nesles-la Valley after a flight of 2 hours and 5 minutes, covering 36 kilometers. After Robert alighted, Charles decided to ascend alone. This time he ascended rapidly to an altitude of about 9,800 feet, 3,000 meters, where he saw the sun again, suffered extreme pain in his ears, and never flew again. Ballooning became a major rage in Europe in the late 18th century, providing the first detailed understanding of the relationship between altitude and atmosphere. Non-steerable balloons were employed during the American Civil War by the Union Army Balloon Corps. The young Ferdinand von Zeppelin first flew as a balloon passenger with the Union Army of the Potomac in 1863. In the early 1900s, ballooning was a popular sport in Britain. These privately owned balloons usually used coal gas as the lifting gas. This has half the lifting power of hydrogen, so the balloons had to be larger. However, coal gas was far more readily available, and the local gas works sometimes provided a special lightweight formula for ballooning events. Airships. Santos Dumont's number 6 rounding the Eiffel Tower in the process of winning the Dutch de la Meurthe Prize October 1901 is shown in the picture. The picture shown is the Eiffel Tower. Airships were originally called dirigible balloons and are still sometimes called dirigibles today. Work on developing a steerable or dirigible balloon continued sporadically throughout the 19th century. The first power controlled sustained lighter than air flight is believed to have taken place in 1852 when Henry Giffard flew 15 miles 24 km in France with a steam engine driven craft. Another advance was made in 1884 when the first fully controllable free flight was made in a French army electric powered airship, La France by Charles Renard and Arthur Cripps. The 170-foot, 52-meter long, 66,000 cubic foot, 1,900-meter cube airship covered 8 km, 5 miles in 23 minutes with the aid of an 8.5 horsepower electric motor. However, these aircraft were generally short-lived and extremely frail. Routine control flights would not occur until the advent of the internal combustion engine. The first aircraft to make routine control flights were non-rigid airships, sometimes called blimps. The most successful early pioneering pilot of this type of aircraft was the Brazilian Alberto Santos Dumont, who effectively combined a balloon with an internal combustion engine. On October 19, 1901, he flew his airship number 6 over Paris from the Parc de Saint-Cloud around the Eiffel Tower and back in under 30 minutes to win the Dutch de la Meurthe Prize. Santos Dumont went on to design and build several aircraft. Subsequent controversies surrounding his and others' competing claims with regard to aircraft overshadowed his great contribution to the development of airships. At the same time that non-rigid airships were starting to have some success, the first successful rigid airships were also being developed. This would be far more capable than fixed-wing aircraft in terms of pure cargo carrying capacity for decades. Rigid airship design and advancement was pioneered by the German Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin. Construction of the first Zeppelin airship began in 1899 in a floating assembly hall on Lake Constance in the Bay of Manzel, Friedrichshafen. This was intended to ease the starting procedure as the hull could easily be aligned with the wind. The prototype airship LZ-1, LZ stands for Luftschiff Zeppelin, had a length of 128 meters. 420 feet, was driven by two 10.6 kilowatt 14.2 horsepower Daimler engines and balanced by moving a weight between its two nacelles. Its first flight on July 2, 1900 lasted for only 18 minutes as LZ-1 was forced to land on the lake after the winding mechanism for the balancing weight had broken. Upon repair, the technology proved its potential in subsequent flights, bettering the 6 meter per second speed attained by the French airship La France by 3 meter per second, but could not yet convince possible investors. It would be several years before the Count was able to raise enough funds for another try. Although airships were used in both World War I and II and continue on a limited basis to this day, the development has been largely overshadowed by heavier than aircraft.